Trek Geeks is proud to have Fansets as our presenting sponsor. You know, Fansets is the place for amazing pin collectibles with over 400 officially licensed Star Trek pins and new releases every month. Stay tuned for a special discount code good on your next order at fansets.com. Fansets. Our pins have character.
We are the Borg, and you are listening to the biggest little show this side of the Alpha Quadrant. It's the Trek Geeks podcast with Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. You will listen. Resistance is futile. You must comply.
From the Convention Bureau at Podfleet Command Headquarters, it's the biggest little show this side of the Alpha Quadrant and the flagship of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. Greetings to you, convention goers and Trekkies alike, and welcome to the Trek Geeks Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bill Smith, and welcome to episode number 307. And we're just slowly ticking them off. You know, we'll be at 400 by the time we get to 2030 at some point. Yeah, I'm not good at counting. People have heard all about your counting skills, or at least they will in the outtake. But that's another story for another time. Of course, I'm talking to my co-host. He's a man that has pretty much been blacklisted from just about every convention on the planet for the reasons that I stated in my outtake earlier, which you guys get past the end theme, you'll hear it. But he's the modestly clothed Dan Davidson. And Dan, we're going to talk about one of our favorite parts of our fandom today.
Yeah, we absolutely are. Good to be here, buddy. Always good to see you, talk to you, talk at you, talk with you, talk about you. So yeah, thanks. 307. Here we are. I'm excited to talk about this week's topic because, as you said, it's our favorite part of our fandom, and that's convention going. We know everyone who listens knows that we attend Vegas annually, and we have a great time reuniting with our Star Trek family. And we don't really get to do others all that often. I think the last non-Star Trek convention we went to was in Chicago a few years back, right after the pandemic. But we're going to be going to another one in 2024, and we're very, very excited about it. And it's Trek Long Island Part 2. And it's coming up in late May, and we're very excited that we're going to be attending this.
Yeah, we have a couple special guests to talk us through it. And Dan, we're going to make a major announcement for Trek Long Island in this episode. So why don't you tell us about our guests?
Yeah, absolutely. Stefanie Gangone is the person who actually came up with the idea of Trek Long Island, and last year was incredibly successful. So we are going to be welcoming her to this podcast, as well as Matthew Kaplowitz, who was at last year's event, has a podcast of his own, is big into the toy business, and has some information about some upcoming Star Trek goodies. So we're very excited to be talking to both of these folks about the upcoming convention. As I said, we have heard nothing but positive things about last year's event. This one's going to be bigger, it's going to be better, and it's going to be badder. Take that as you will, because we're going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
There's going to be so much Trek Geeks representation at this con between us and Sci-Fi Sisters and Big Sci-Fi Podcast and some of the other shows that are going to show up just as attendees. We may have 5 or 6 shows represented at this convention in one way or another, and that's pretty exciting because it's a creator-friendly environment. So, and we'll talk about that more in the conversation later. So. I am so jazzed for this con. There aren't words to describe how excited I am for Long Island. Partly me,
jazzed.
Yeah, jazzed.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
there's a word.
Said that.
I know. You said you
Shut
don't
up
have
and
any
let
words.
me talk. It's great to have a convention in the Northeast again. Now, someone say, obviously, sure. Trek Ticonderoga is there. Yes. I freely admit that that's a great con, and we've been there, and people should always go to Trek Ticonderoga. We love that con. But to have a larger venue con in the Northeast is really something we haven't seen at this level since 2014.
Yeah, when we reunited after not seeing each other for a while, and the actual Trek Geeks podcast was born kind of that very weekend. So, very excited to have it here in the Northeast. It's not a lot of travel time for us, which is great. I did want to say, I talked about how Matthew's going to be joining us, and I mentioned that he's a podcaster, and of course, he is host of the Trek Untold podcast. So we're going to talk about that a little bit with him also, But yeah, I mean, it's only going to be a couple-hour drive, and that's so relaxing to think of.
But temper your expectations because I'll be in the car.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, never mind.
Yeah,
it's going to be just as bad as Vegas then. 2 hours with Bill equals 8 hours anywhere else. I think
it's a little more than 2 hours.
It is. It's going to be more like 3.5 or so. Because of course, there's about an hour and a half or so that we don't drive because we're on the ferry. So yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Taking a big boat across the ocean, my friend.
After I take a plane, I'm taking all kinds of travel methods to go to this con.
And there is a train that goes right by the place where we get on the boat. So planes, trains, and automobiles.
Except no boat.
Right.
Well, Dan, as always, we want to take this moment to thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of Trek Geeks.
Yeah, indeed we do, man. As we mentioned last time we talked, Fansets continues to make all the pins that premiered in Vegas available over at fansets.com. So head on over there right now and pick up these new beauties. From the universe of Trek, it's everyone's favorite tailor/spy. That's right, it's Garak from Garak from Deep Space Nine. Some people actually call him Garak, which is interesting. And perhaps, buddy, my all-time favorite Delta from Fansets. It's from Picard Season 2, and it's the Borg Slayer Delta, and it's available in both pin and magnet form.
So get on over to Fansets and get yourself some pins. That's right. You want to get those two great new releases from Vegas, and then at checkout, be sure to enter the special discount code word TrekGeeks for 10% off your entire order. I'm amazed you didn't say a word about just me breaking into a spontaneous jingle.
I was waiting till the end. I didn't want to interrupt you because I usually do.
That's Trek Geeks in all capital letters with no spaces. And of course, don't forget, when you order more than $30 from Fansets, you're going to automatically get free shipping in the United States.
You started your own jingle, Garak. Okay, anyway, that was very good. Maybe we should make that the official jingle of Fansets. I'll talk to the powers that be about that. How's that sound?
That would be me.
Fansets. Our pins have character, and we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks. So, Bill.
Dan.
We're going to a convention this summer. And it's not Las Vegas. And we are just unbelievably excited about this. Have I told you about this? Did I tell you that we are actually doing one?
I've heard that we're doubling our convention count in 2024.
We actually are.
And we're covering both ends of the country practically.
I know. It's so awesome. It's actually close by for a change, which is, I mean, just awesome. It's only going to be a couple-hour drive instead of several-hour flights. We're very excited. It's Trek Long Island, buddy. We're going there. It's going to be awesome. We are so excited. We've heard nothing but good things about last year's convention. So as a result, we're going to talk all about that right now. We've got two very special guests to help us talk about it. The one and only Stefanie Gangone, who is actually the person behind Trek Long Island. is the first person we're going to be talking to. And also we want to welcome Matthew Kaplowitz, who is part of the Trek Untold podcast. He's also going to talk to us about the convention and maybe even a couple of other special things towards the end of our discussion regarding Star Trek toys, which is pretty awesome. So Stefanie and Matthew, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you. And as you can tell, I'm pretty excited about Trek Long Island.
Me too. I can't believe you pronounced his name right, but not mine.
I know.
And I told you before we even recorded. I asked you what it was. You told me. I said it right. But as soon as that big red recording light button is on, forget about it, Miss Stefanie Gangone. There you go. I said it right, and I'm not going to say it again.
It's hard to believe we have an empire with him.
This has never happened before to me where someone gets my name right. Like, are we in the mirror universe right now? This feels wrong.
And this is coming from two guys whose last names are Smith and Davidson.
Right.
Couldn't get much easier.
Name, the chances are I'm going to get it more right than the easiest of names. So I'm just going to go with that.
So Stefanie, it's not an easy undertaking to decide to start a fandom convention from scratch.
Yeah.
What is it that possessed you to do such a thing?
Well, possession, that was the word. So it started it, and I'm going to go back into the nerdville of what I am. I'm a librarian, a children's librarian. And the reason I started Trek Long Island was I wanted to create an event that my 501c3, the Library for the Kind, could host. Library for the Kind is a non-for-profit organization that I started just during the pandemic, actually, that supports children in literacy, diversity, inclusion. Last year at Trek Long Island, we donated just over $1,000 to the LaBelle School for the Blind.
Oh, wow.
And that's what that does. And so we host this event. And what is Trek but inclusion, diversity, and everything that, that supports my cause. So I decided to do a Star Trek convention, and oh my goodness, it worked.
Where do you start in trying to get a convention off the ground? Because I mean, obviously you've been probably to a bunch of conventions, in your fandom.
Yeah.
It's got to be like a Herculean task to some extent. Where do you take the first bite?
Staff. When you have a reliable people, wonderful people that you can, just are wonderful. You're going to do well. I started with working with Long Island Doctor Who, and a lot of my staff comes from them. Some of them comes from Icon, that was also on Long Island. And when you have that clique, that wonderful group of people that have the same passion as you, you're going to make it. You're going to do it. And everything else just kind of fell into place. It was a little magical, and I'm panicking because I can't believe it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about last year's event. It was the first Trek Long Island. Our dear friends and sponsors of the show, Fansets, was at the convention last year, and they had nothing but positive things to say about not only the convention, but the people involved, the fans, the people the stars that showed up. It was extremely. I don't think I read a single bad thing about the event anywhere on social media, which we know can be a cesspool of negativity. Everything was fantastic. So talk a little bit about that. What were your expectations going in? And what did you think coming out? Obviously, it must have been something that you're like, oh, let's do this again. So I'm thinking it was pretty positive.
Well, I'm always ready for people with negativity also, and I'm ready for that. I'm a librarian. I'm used to dealing with the public and speaking to all different kinds of people, so I'm ready for that. Communication is key. So the more I was communicating, the more I spoke to people, let them be heard. I knew there wouldn't be any issues. This year, for example, I'm going to be expanding the vendor room. I knew that was one thing that they wanted. And it's so funny. The day before the event, I had a T-shirt vendor contact me, but I had no room for them. And the one complaint, you have no T-shirt vendor. I'm like, oh, I almost had one. But it's going out of it. I couldn't believe that I did it. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not eating ramen for a year. I don't believe this. It was great. And then,
no slight on ramen, by the way. Ramen is delicious.
Ramen is awesome.
How do you decide, kind of the slate of panels? How do you ensure that you have the kind of programming and the flow you want to make sure that those people attending are going to be, engaged.
You want to make sure, you have panels for the old school cast. They want people to talk about how Trek started. You want to go into the future. People love to talk. You want panels where it's not just the speaker talking and talking and talking, but the audience contributing. It's so important. People want to express themselves. And also, Matt, podcasters are amazing. They are amazing. They can run a panel like you wouldn't know.
And, well, speaking of that, Matt, of course, with the Trek Untold podcast and such, tell us a little bit about what your experience has been like being involved in this. Do you have any pointers for two weirdos from New Hampshire who are going to be joining you guys in the summer, the early summer? And also, if I'm not mistaken, the podcast community is a huge part of this convention.
Well, my pro tip to anybody listening today is book your hotel early because they're already sold out. And I don't know if Stephanie's going to be able to get more hotel blocks, but there are other hotels in the area. So yeah, my recommendation is if you're going to come, you better get your hotel ASAP because this thing was popular. It was popping last year. And yeah, there was tons of podcasters, like my experiences last year at the event, or rather this summer, I guess it's very timey-wimey stuff. I'm trying to remember all this stuff. But yeah, my experiences were first as a vendor. I'm coming in 2024 to kind of help out with the podcast and the content creators.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2023, I had a booth there and I got to do a few panels. And that was exciting for me because I've actually never, ever ran my own panel at a convention before. So, besides being in like Podcaster Row with like some of the fellow Trek Geek podcasts, like the Sci-Fi Sisters and Big Sci-Fi Podcast, along with other folks there as well. All of us had different panels going on. And I've done plenty of things, on my podcast where I've had multiple guests on, but never actually in person. And it's such a different experience because it's basically now live theater. It's essentially
right, yeah.
what's going on. So, I went from doing 0 to 4 in the matter of 2 days. And like becoming the de facto host of like the Podcasters Unite panel, which kicked off the first day. And that was just basically all of us podcasters chatting it up and just talking about Star Trek and talking about the fandom. And like Stefanie was saying, we had a lot of back and forth with the audience, which was unexpected but cool. I got to do my Trek Untold panel, which I brought in some virtual guests. I brought in Alicia Naff, aka Ensign/Captain Sonia Gomez.
Very cool.
I had Albie Selznick, who's been 3 times in different Star Trek shows. He was in Voyager twice and DS9 once, I believe. And then I also did a panel all about Star Trek toys, which I did with my friend Jonathan Alexandrados. And that was also really fun. We had like similar kind of thing, just talking back and forth with the audience members, talking toys, writing down history, sharing, collecting stories. And then like my big moment was being on stage with Robin Curtis and Vadia Potenza for the Star Trek 3 Spock reunion, Spock and Saavik reunion.
Cool.
That was pretty awesome. Again, having never ever done this before. And even, I've done interviews in person with all sorts of people, professional fighters, business people, whatever. But not really in the Star Trek realm. Trek Untold started in the pandemic. So everything I've done has been through Zoom. So now here I am on stage with like Robin Curtis. Come on. I'm trying not to be a fanboy, but it's really hard not to.
That really is the biggest challenge. I mean, we've been doing podcasts for a while. We've done some live panels, and I don't know about you, Matt, but I still get nervous before a live panel because there's really a chance that I could mess this up. With recording, it's always easy because I can fix most things in the edit. But when you're in front of a few hundred people, it's like, okay, this is for real. Did you have some of that before your Robin Curtis panel? Be honest.
Honestly, no. I was actually shocked. I don't understand how. I don't know what's happened. I'm like, I used to feel nervous and stuff, and I was like telling people I was nervous, but I was like, I really didn't. I kind of felt like this Zen state. I think the term in Zen Buddhism is like state of mu, of emptiness, like you are the empty cup. So I just kind of like became Trek Long Island, and I just went into it.
And now you are Trek Long Island.
Now you are.
Now I am Trek Long Island. I am the Trek Long Island.
I think that's also referred to as a state of Dan because his head is quite empty.
It is quite empty. I got to say, I agree with you a lot, Matt, because as Bill will tell you, first of all, he always leaves my mistakes and he never edits them out. And I'm sure he's going to say that he doesn't make any mistakes of his own, which is why he never has to edit his own. But that's a story for another day. I tend to get really nervous and anxious well before a live panel. Like, for example, it could be like the day, two or 3 days before, I'll be starting to freak out about stuff. But I got to agree with you. Right beforehand, it happened when we did a live podcast in Vegas this past year. Nice and smooth, nice and relaxed, no concerns. And I think all the worrying is, Bill's always told me I worry for nothing because everything always seems to go off without a hitch. Now, of course, saying that, I'm sure Bill and I are going to get up there this coming convention, and one of us is going to screw up. Probably going to be me, because it usually is. And I'll just put that out there right now. So everyone, I apologize up front.
I think as long as John Billingsley isn't doing a striptease anywhere we are, we'll be fine.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
I can totally concur with that, though, because, like, I feel like the weeks before, like you were saying, same thing. I was all anxious about it, and I got there, and honestly, I was too busy doing everything else that I didn't have time to keep stressing about it. And then I just get up there, and I'm like, and you guys know this because you're pros. You've been doing this for a lot longer than I have in the podcasting realm. Like, you can't really come in there being all stiff and everything. It's, a conversation on a stage. It's a moving conversation. There's moving parts in here. You got to throw your script out the window and just go with whatever your guests are doing. So you very much have to be in the moment. And that's kind of just what happened there. It's like you have to be very mindful, very aware of what's happening, and able to go have that back and forth with your guests. So any anxiety you have, it's going to go right out the window as soon as you get on that stage and see all those people. And I've never experienced that before. Now I'm hooked. I want more panels, Steph. I want more.
Guys. This is why I need you. I'm a terrible interviewer. I'm terrible because I get I forget everything. Everybody, we'd be talking just about, did you go to the park the other day or something else? Because I forget everything, who the person is, what they did, everything. That's why I need you guys.
That's me.
Well, in all honesty, during the SAG-AFTRA strike, that's probably, in line with the questions you can ask right now, as it is. That's really
dinosaur.
What kind of, does pineapple belong on pizza? We asked that one in Vegas. If there were all kinds of questions we asked to Michelle Hurd and John Billingsley and Bonnie Gordon, because when you can talk about Star Trek, it's great, but when you can't before a live audience of Star Trek fans, it becomes quite a daunting task. I'm fairly certain that by the time we get to Trek Long Island, we'll be able to talk about Star Trek freely and unencumbered. And I think that's the most exciting part.
But it's very important. See, my thing also with Trek Long Island, I wanted to make sure that the actors weren't only talking about Trek. Like, for example, J.G. Hertzler, he's an author. We brought him in an author panel. I want to hear him talk about his book. I want to hear him talk about other things, their other passions, because that's just as important.
Right. That's another aspect of the convention, which is very important, not only to you, but to Bill and I, and probably everybody is you're going to have a huge authors conglomerate, so to speak, showing up. You showed like some kind of like a flow chart of some kind on social media the other day, and I think I might have passed out a little bit trying to follow it all. Yes. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're hoping and who is already going to be joining you or joining us. I should say.
Well, I announced all my authors. I might have one or two left. Let me go on over here. I know we got Keith Candidio is coming. I always say his last name wrong. How do you say it? I love you, Keith, but I can't say your last name. Keith. And I just brought Perlman's coming out again, so that's really exciting. Let me see. Of course, now I closed that one. Okay, here it is.
Let's see.
So
David,
I'm really excited. Derek Tyler Atico. He just the biography of Benjamin Sisko.
Can't wait to read that.
Table. I am super excited to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be great. Sean Von Gorman. He came last year to the event. It was actually funny. CradleCon is another convention that happens near us, and they didn't know that they put their convention on top of mine. And I think it was like an olive branch, and they kind of sent Sean over. Like, here, I'm so sorry. And so he came. I got Heather Antos, who's an editor for IDW.
Yep, IDW.
Robert Greenberger, he's new. He's one of our new authors coming this year. I'm trying to see who's new. J.K. Woodward, Michael Jan Freedom is coming back. John Peel's coming back, and not an author, but she authors music and creates it. The Klingon Pop Warrior, and I'm really, really excited to have her come. She is fantastic.
Plus, I mean, we mentioned authors; those are huge. One of the great, I think, current Star Trek artists is also going to be in house with Kavita. She does some amazing prints. She was just in Vegas for the big annual con there.
And she'll have an art show with us too.
Her work is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She's officially licensed too, which is really, additionally cool. The fact that CBS is willing to give, their stamp of approval to the work that she does.
She's the nicest person in the universe too. Really, the nicest person. We're bringing her an artist alley, and she's gonna have some of her art on display. And I want to bring in more artists, more fine art almost for that area of the convention.
That's amazing. So, was there anything in the first year that didn't work quite as well as you've expected that maybe you're changing for year two?
Let me think. No, everything was perfect. No, I don't know.
I love it.
Perfect.
Perfect answer.
That's a hard one. Why would you ask such a hard question? Really, I think the only thing I'm changing is I just need more vendors. I need more room. People want to shop more. So, and that was my big change. I want to bring, move things around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see in the hallways, it'll be a little bit different, but I think
it's interesting that Bill asked you that question, because I'm going to go kind of opposite on my next question is, with everything that happened, this is your first convention that you're putting together, and you've had a tremendous, everybody seems to love it. What was your favorite moment of last year's convention? Do you have a favorite moment?
It because I was running around a lot, but I'm going to say something so nerdy, and this is what I say to everybody. My favorite moment was sitting down for a moment and watching everybody have fun. I know this sounds so dorky, but it is. Just watching everybody geek out and just bond and just be with their crews. That's what I want. That's what I want to do, and it worked.
That's so amazing. And I can appreciate that, because half the time when I go to any convention, whether it's Star Trek or my wife and I go to conventions for The Office, that TV series, the people watching really is one of the interesting aspects to me, and just being able to step back and watch how people interact with other fans or celebrities or vendors. It's just great to see that fandom sort of come together in that community spirit. So I can appreciate that. Let's talk about some of the guests you've already announced for this year, because I'm really excited here for one in particular. Dan and I have tried unsuccessfully to get Melissa Navia's autograph for 2 years. And she's going to be at Trek Long Island. You had to be overjoyed when you got Melissa to agree.
Yes.
With hometown comment.
I was trying last year, but it was too late. But this year, oh my goodness, I am, I don't even know what to say to that. Yes, I am really excited.
Fantastic. Yeah, Bill and I were in line. She's such a wonderful person. We were in line twice, 2 years in a row, for such a long time to get her autograph, and we ended up not being able to because we had to go to our party with fan sets, and we didn't think it would happen again, and then it happened again this year, and we're like, we're just not getting lucky, but we will be doing it in New York, I guarantee you.
I'll send you the map of where she is. We'll get you there.
Absolutely. I'm ecstatic about Tara Rosling.
Yes.
I love her character in Discovery, and I think I hope we finally get to see a little bit of action with her and Saru this season. I'm very excited that she's going to be joining everyone. Who else have you already announced that you're excited to see? And Matt, I wanted to go back to you for just a quick second, Stefanie, before you answer that. Was your favorite moment at last year's con the Robin Curtis moment, or was there something else?
There was definitely other moments. I mean, Robin Curtis was a fairly surreal moment, being on stage with Robin Curtis and Vadia Potenza. But I think, one of the things that really stood out to me, honestly, I don't want to sound like I'm self-aggrandizing or like being self-promoting at the moment, but it was kind of cool actually finding out that I had fans. It's like I kind of feel like I live in a podcast bubble sometimes. And like, social media is whatever, YouTube comments or whatever, but it's like, it's nice to be in my little booth and be like, oh, you're Trek Untold. I know you. I listened to your show and I've been listening to your show for years. And I'm like, oh, people actually do listen. Or like the fact that I made merchandise for the show and people were actually excited about it and buying it. And I'm like, people actually like that I exist. That's really cool.
I like that you exist too.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for me, like the biggest moment was really meeting a lot of the celebrities, and that's also because many of them I had interviewed previously on my show. So like I got to meet Bruce Horak in person finally, which was amazing because he's such a cool, amazing artist and performer. I got to hang out with Raven Dowda and Pumsley Satole, who again, a guest on my show. I think I was like Pumi's first interview for Trekker, and I think the same for Raven maybe. So They were like so excited to see me too. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool. I've got like Trek actor buddies, which is always cool. But I think meeting Doug Jones is probably like my big moment. Of all the things, you want to talk about nerves, right? Like Robin Curtis going onto stage. Yeah. Okay. But Doug Jones, like this is a man that I've admired in so many things and I've seen his face in so many things. And I was like, I'm going to get his autograph. I just got to get the courage first to do it.
He pinched your cheeks, didn't he?
Oh my goodness. Yes, he did.
He pinches everybody's cheeks.
I
had no say in the matter. He was like giving them cheeks. He just went to town on them. It was amazing. I got to do another photo later with him and my girlfriend and us together. We were doing jazz hands, all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, I could scratch meeting Doug Jones off the list because wow, what a guy! Like for anybody who hasn't met him, you got to meet the guy.
Fantastic human being. Yeah,
I think he was the first person I booked was Doug Jones, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be a good convention because Doug, and then David Ajala, I melted a little.
He was really great too. I have to admit, actually, yeah, like he brought the stuff Grudge, and we just like chatted with him, like because that's the cool thing about going to small cons is like you go to Trek Las Vegas, and it's huge. And it's really hard to get like serious intimate time. Yep. But when you go to like a smaller show like Trek Long Island, like you really get the time to really talk and interact. And like me and my girlfriend spent like 15 minutes hanging out with David Ajala. And we're talking Trek, we're talking toys, we're talking all sorts of other stuff that he worked on. We're just talking about eating stuff in New York City. So it's like really cool to make those connections that you don't get a chance to do like, at SDCC or NYCC or anything like that. So
well, Evan Evagora, he went to the bar the night and he was hanging out with everybody like, they were excited. And you don't see that at the big conventions. The smaller ones, right. They come on out because they know there's not going to be a million people jumping on them.
Exactly. Yeah. So who else do we have, Stefanie, that we know about so far that you can tell us about?
Well, I could tell. I just announced recently, and I love her. I can't wait to believe I have her, and she has such a great role on Lower Decks right now. Gabrielle Ruiz. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Eileen. She's such
Eileen.
Oh my goodness. Such a great role. If you watched the last episode, I just watched it. I'm just like, oh, she's like, I don't know. I'm verklempt. She's fantastic. She's fantastic. She really just plays it perfectly. I watched her a couple of episodes in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She's fantastic. She's so much fun. She's such a fun actress.
I like the fact that they brought that character on as in a more regular like episode to episode. Just that one guest appearance didn't seem like it was enough. So I'm glad that they brought that character on because she is a fan favorite. Absolutely.
It's a perfect dynamic of like, they always have that couple on every Star Trek that kind of clashes. Mm-hmm. And if you got Tendi and Tylen, it's like, leave me alone, but she loves her. It's perfect.
So Matt, let's talk about some Trek toys. Because I have a feeling that you may have some passion here. I could be wrong.
Little bit of passion, I guess. Yeah, you might say that.
Little bit of passion. I'm just going to let you have the floor. I mean, tell us what's coming up. Tell us what you're excited about. Tell us what you want us to know.
All right. Yeah, cool. So for folks who might not know, this past week in New York, we just had New York Toy Fair. In fact, the day that we're recording this, it just ended. So that's why I'm like brain dead and mumbling and like barely there in the head currently. It's an exhausting 4 days. And basically all the major toy companies and all the minor toy companies from around the world come to the Javits Center for 4 days to show off what they've got. And it's also the first toy fair we've had since 2020. For the last few years, it's been gone due to the pandemic. So really since then, a lot has changed in the entire world. And that also includes the toy industry. So, I'm a big Star Trek collector. I'm a big toy collector. And I was hoping to see a lot of different things at Toy Fair this year related to Star Trek. So I do have some up and down news, I guess, let's say here. Maybe I'll start with the bad.
Okay.
So I know a lot of collectors have been very excited about the Playmates line of Star Trek toys, but it's been kind of like ebb and flow at best with its releases. And well, I guess I have the sad news to report that it's essentially now dead.
Oh.
It's not like completely dead. We could call it life support maybe. So I was told that they might be actually showing stuff at Toy Fair a few months back. There was nothing there. I should add, Playmates this year, as far as what was shown to the press, was very little, and there was no photography allowed. All they showed was miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir dolls, and then they showed a ton of Ninja Turtle stuff for the new show, but no photography allowed. And likewise, there was nothing there for Trek, nothing else beyond that. So I was told basically Trek figures are done now. So whatever's out in stores, which are currently peg warming in a lot of Targets and going on clearance in a lot of them especially, that stuff is pretty much the end of the figure line. So anything that you guys saw leaked maybe about a year or so ago in London when that happened, that will never happen. So yeah, and likewise too, there was supposed to be a Holo Janeway from the Prodigy line. That will never happen either. What we will be getting, hopefully sporadically, is ships and role-playing items. That's what I was told by a Playmates rep. So the Enterprise D, I believe, has just come out. And I don't recently let it for pre-order. It might be hitting some stores now. And they also just put out a TOS communicator. So those two things are out. Beyond that, they had no comment. And regarding a frequency of when these releases are going to be for future toys, if they happen, no comment. So as they put it, it's kind of up to the fans and the buyers. And they've said the same thing to me that I've heard from a lot of other vendors. Because I've been doing this toy thing for a long time as like a toy industry professional over at my other channel, my YouTube channel, Nerd News Today. So, I've seen Titan Merchandise do it. I've seen Mezco do Star Trek, and they all say the same thing. I've seen McFarlane Toys do it, in fact. Star Trek toys don't sell. And it's kind of a sad truth. I mean, a lot of fans might disagree, but that's also because we're kind of living in our Star Trek bubble. We want to buy this stuff, but this is not Star Wars. This is not Jurassic Park. This isn't like WWE stuff. It's not as mainstream. So Star Trek is a really tough sell. I mean, McFarlane Toys, when they did theirs several years back, all they did was a figure and a Picard, and that was the end of it. They were like, no, these aren't selling. We're done. So
was McFarlane the one that did the Borg? They had like a Cardassian, a Klingon, and another alien race that was Borg figures that were just so incredibly detailed. Was that McFarlane?
No, that was Diamond Select. That was a canceled line. They did a few with those, but they didn't really get to finish that one out. Diamond Select did a great job with their Star Trek line. They really were devoted to making it happen. But again, over time, I think they lost a license as well. It happens. So Playmates has been, the ones reviving it. But I will say, with Playmates now kind of done with it more or less, there are other companies kind of picking up the slack. So what I did see that's kind of new, let's see. Well, Hiya Toys is showing off some stuff this year, and they brought Abrams Star Trek stuff.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
J.J. Abrams Star Trek line. So we're getting characters from that film. We're getting Nero. We're getting Kirk, Spock.
Lens flare.
Scotty, I think. I might be getting Scott. I'm not quite sure about that, but I know we're getting his little engineering buddy. And we're also getting one of the toys that wasn't made when that film came out, and it was advertised, which was Spock in the cave. So that toy was advertised, but it never came out because the line was terrible and died a horrible death, and it deserved to because awful figures. But now we're finally getting that Spock, and these figures are amazing. They're photorealistic. They're about 1/18 scale, which means they're 3 3/4 inches tall, which is about the same size as like the classic G.I. Joes from the 80s and 90s. There were a few other things here and there, but really not much. I mean, like Kid Robot had some plushies. What was cool with Kid Robot, they're a subsidiary of NECA. They have the Attack Wing franchise. And for folks who don't know, Attack Wing is like a tabletop game where you play all the different starships and you have giant space battles. It's a lot of fun. And they've shown off now their next step, I guess. They don't want to call it an evolution, but it's like the next step in the Attack Wing series, which is going to be called Star Trek Into the Unknown, I believe, or something like that, or Star Trek Into Unknown. And it's going to be a little more, I guess, more of a narrative-based game. And they're kicking off with the starter kit. It's going to have, I think, the Enterprise and Defiant versus like the Jem'Hadar. That's going to be coming out. We don't know when. I think that might be next few months or early next year. But that one's going to be the one to be on the lookout for if you're into like tabletop gaming.
Oh, wow.
And I think the only other thing really kind of I can think of off the top of my head besides those plushies that was kind of fun is there's a company called Super Impulse. And they're known for their line of World's Smallest. So they take like popular retro or modern toy licenses and they shrink them down to super teeny tiny things. So imagine a He-Man toy, right? Like a classic Mattel He-Man toy, and it's like not even an inch tall. It's amazing. It's like, it's definitely not even, it's like maybe half an inch or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So they now got Star Trek, and that's actually a pretty big thing. I don't think anybody's covered this. I haven't even announced it yet on my social media, so you guys are getting it first. They're doing Super Impulse World's Smallest Star Trek. We're getting a Shatner Kirk, I believe. I'm pretty sure I gotta double check. So maybe I shouldn't say it's Shatner or not, but we're gonna get a World's Smallest Captain Kirk. We're gonna get a World's Smallest Spock, and we're gonna get a World's Smallest Enterprise.
Wow,
that looks amazing. So, like, if you remember like the Micro Machines, like that size, but still actually a little bit smaller and just as detailed. They're really, really cool. So that's pretty much the breaking news from Toy Fair. Wasn't a great showing for Star Trek, but I will add, for folks who are buying like the XO6 Star Trek stuff, the 12-inch figures, those are being shown over the weekend. I believe at like the Shanghai Toy Festival, the Wonder Fest, I think it might be called. Those were out there in display, and I can let you guys know Todd Stashwick is getting a Shaw figure in 12-inch.
There you go.
Beautiful. So that's on something you guys look out for. I just got my Quark from them recently, and that thing's a knockout.
It is.
The likeness is just unbelievable.
They do fantastic work. So what I hear from the world's smallest is it's basically Bill brain size. So anyway, Stefanie, I have a question for you in regards to...
wait a second, I have one quick update. I know the Playmates Enterprise D is on sale through Target now for $40.
Oh, great. Nice. Now, is it like the...
Target and Amazon as well, and you can also get it from like places like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store.
Mine's on the way.
Is it going to be like the previous releases of stuff where it's going to have the lights and sound effects and all that stuff? I haven't actually seen it yet. So
there's been a lot of discourse about it in a lot of the Trek toy Facebook groups, because of course there is, but rightfully so. A lot of folks don't necessarily like the paint job or some of the details, but it does have lights, it does have sounds. What I believe is different about this one from the original release is that the saucer separates.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of a big deal.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. Stefanie, are there anybody who is going to be representing any of the toy companies that Matt talked about at the convention that we know of yet?
I'm going to have Mego Toys will be there. So
okay.
I'm going to have a couple of tables at the event.
Nice.
As of now, I can't really think of any more toy companies, but like I said, I have a bigger vendor room. You got a toy company, sign up now. It's filling. It's actually filling for real. It's really
awesome.
I will head to Amigo was also at Toy Fair. They were showing off some things. They were showing off some more Strange New Worlds items as well. So there is an Anson Mount Kirk. There is an Ethan Beck Spock, and they just showed off Rebecca Romaine #1, and that looks great. So by the time Trek Island happens, Una might be ready for sale. So that's going to be pretty cool to find there.
I can see that's where my budget is going during this con. It's to a suitcase full of Mego figures to take back home.
It starts with one, and then it just keeps going from there.
That's right. You should see all the Funko Pops that line my shelves over here. There's an army of them. So we've talked online about an announcement for this particular episode of Trek Geeks. The next,
we got two of them actually.
We got two
villains. Yeah, I'm starting October off with villains. And
I love it.
Actually, at the end of the month, I'm working on another villain, but I can't say anything now. But yeah, I think maybe I'll tell you guys when we stop recording.
Okay,
that sounds good.
we can be bribed.
Yeah.
So who's coming for the villains?
Let's start with when we announce one. Wow, I feel like I'm just letting it out. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Big announcement. Here we go. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
This lovely green young lady was in Discovery. She is Janet Kidder.
Nice.
I'm very excited.
From people that I've talked to who have seen her at conventions, she is fantastic. She loves talking to the fans. She really enjoyed the role. And that's going to be great to be able to meet her in person. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, same here. That's awesome. And you're telling me you got another?
I got another one. Ready for me to pronounce this? I am so scared.
I'm ready.
When you guys are talking about the video games and gaming, I was thinking about him the entire time. He actually is a huge voiceover for gaming. Oh. And his name is Elias Tofexis.
Nice.
Have a very, very big role next season in Discovery.
Yeah, he's kind of the main antagonist in season 5 when that premieres, hopefully early next year. So we met Elias in Vegas.
Really?
And we found out he listens to Trek Geeks.
Couldn't even believe it.
I was kind of blown away. We weren't at our table and he came by to meet us, and we spent the rest of the con trying to sync up with him, and either he was busy or we were busy. And finally he brought his beautiful family over to the table and we met them all. And what a wonderful guy. Really.
His social media is so nice. So, normal. If I don't know how to explain it, he's just like a nice guy, normal guy. You could just sit down, just talk to him. I'm very, very excited to have him.
It's funny that you say that, Stefanie. I've been saying this about the modern Trek shows lately, or ever since Discovery first started with season 1, and all through what we're seeing now. It's one of the things I love so much about the actors and people involved in New Trek. And I'm not trying to say anything negative towards the legacy series whatsoever, but the new actors, they're of the generation that understands the social media aspect and the fan aspect, and the way that they interact with people at these conventions is really something that I have enjoyed ever since Discovery kicked off. Of course, the way that Sonequa just works that crowd and gets everybody so excited about things. And I'm so happy to hear that people like Janet and Elias are going to be joining us at Trek Long Island, because I'm sure that they're going to have everybody just cheering. And like Bill said, when he said that he listened to Trek Geeks, we were like, come on, man, you don't do that.
Well, maybe he'll listen to this. I was like, hi, Elias.
There's a very good chance. So, I mean, obviously, one of the nice things about regional cons is that they're more intimate. Usually I don't see regional cons with nearly as many guests as you've already announced. Do you have a kind of a ballpark as to how many celebrity guests you'll have when you're done announcing?
I have about 7 more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Like I'm looking at my chart in the back where I had to fill in. So
that's wow. See, our brains are going to be working overtime to try to figure out who's going to be coming.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even announce my other headliner yet.
Oh my word.
There's always the first time on Trek Geeks, but just saying.
I told you, I'm going to tell you guys after we're recording.
Okay.
And I have to sign a contract.
Yes.
We've signed many an NDA in our lives. We totally understand. Somewhere Dan
almost called it a DNR.
Wow, this took a turn. Somewhere Dan's got a boatload of phone numbers for various celebrities, and he won't let me see them because he's sworn to secrecy on them. So I am so excited. And which hotel are we at for the con?
The Hyatt Regency in Hauppauge.
Yes.
I was wondering how you pronounce that.
See, I actually was thinking the same thing because we talked about how I pronounce it. While Matt was talking, I actually did a Google on how do you pronounce this, and I typed the word, and so I got to hear the computer say it to me. So thank you for taking care of that for us anyway. And you know what? We've talked about this all for the last 40 minutes or so, and we haven't even announced the dates. It's May 31st through June 2nd, 2024. Like you said, at the Hyatt Regency, Long Island. It's going to be fantastic, and just the fact that it's only going to be a couple-hour drive for Bill and I is just.
And we're expanding. We didn't do Friday last year. I want to do a little bit more, so we're going to have like a reception open for everybody. I don't want to do any opening reception people to pay for extra, so it's open to everybody. The hotel has a bar, and I'm going to have, like I said, the Klingon Pop War singing lounge music. And we're going to do something really nice for the opening. And then we'll have a couple of panels going on. We're still working on what we want to do and how many we want to do. And then really the next day is when we're going to start bringing in the guests.
Awesome.
So where can people go to get tickets?
You can go to treklongisland.com.
Well, that's pretty simple. I mean, and that's good because Dan's not that bright. He would find a way to mess this up.
Spell it wrong. TrekIsland.com. What? Right. Okay. Yeah. TrekLongIsland.com.
How many times I get companies like tagging me saying, "Hey, thanks for the bike," and I'm like, "I'm not Trek." I'm going to invite one of those companies to the convention. I swear, I'm going to have a bicycling company there.
Why doesn't Trek Bikes come out with a Star Trek themed bike?
What?
Right?
You know what? This is it. You hear this, guys?
Get on that.
Dan, you have contacts there. Just get right on the phone with them.
Let's do this.
Actually, I have a Trek bike downstairs.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah.
Is it yours?
It is.
When was the last time you rode it?
Don't even know.
So I think we will have at least 5 different podcasts represented from Trek Geeks, either attending as convention goers or with tables or potentially doing panels at Trek Long Island. I don't want to say we're invading.
Oh, invade.
But we're invading.
Invade.
I think we're looking at putting together a Trek Geeks Network meetup at some point, possibly offsite. We haven't figured that part out yet, but we'll be promoting the hell out of that in addition to the convention. And anytime you guys want to come back and give us updates, or we also have a podcast about Star Trek conventions, and I think we might know the host of that show.
Might know. And we also have a podcast about collectibles. So
we do.
Matthew, we got to get you on that one and to talk about all kinds of good stuff that you were just talking about a few minutes ago.
You guys are like the one-stop podcast stop.
We'd like to think we have something for everybody.
Yeah.
And Bill, since we're talking like all podcasts here, we actually have a content creator section that we're going to have at Trek Long Island, just like we had in 2023. We had our podcast alley. It's expanding in 2024. And we have a questionnaire currently on TrekLongIsland.com. So I know there's probably a lot of fans out there who also have their own Star Trek podcasts that are listening right now. And if they want to come to Trek Long Island, we have free booths available to content creators. So there's a questionnaire form. They can go there, fill it out, submit it. We'll get back to you guys in a few months. And it's basically a way we're kind of giving back to the community. We're having more people there helping us out. You might be able to have a panel. You'll be able to interact with fans, be able to grow your audience. So we want to make sure that folks know that, especially who are, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you're a podcaster, whether you're a social media influencer, whatever you're doing in the world of Trek, we want content creators there in the house, showing off, showing up, and being part of this community. So head over to treklongisland.com, check out the podcast questionnaire form. And please, we want to see everybody coming out there and showing off what they do.
Stefanie, Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes.
We are so excited to attend, and we hope to bring you guys back sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Well, Dan, as I look at my phone, we have 239 days as we record this until Trek Long Island.
Nice.
And I'm going to be counting it down like you wouldn't believe. Also, by the way, 300 days on the nose till Vegas, but that's that's neither here nor there. In 239 days, you and I are going to be on site at Trek Long Island getting it done, and it's going to be amazing. Like I've said repeatedly, I cannot wait.
I can't wait either. The excitement. I mean, you could just tell when we were talking with Stefanie and Matt that the excitement for this convention is you can feel it in the air, and I can't wait to get there. We're going to be reunited with our friends from Fansets who we only get to see once a year usually. So that's going to be great. We're going to have so much representation from the network while we're there. So we get to reunite with all of our fellow podcasters and friends. Plus, there's going to be some amazing guests there. Of course, the big Halloween announcements that were made here on the show with the two villains that were announced. It's going to be fantastic, and it's not done yet. There's going to be more announcements coming, and we can't wait to hear them, and we can't wait to be part of the whole experience. Come late.
Elias Tufexis and Janet Kidder at Trek Long Island, as announced here exclusively on Trek Geeks. Can't wait. Get yourself on out to treklongisland.com. Get all the details, but more importantly, get your tickets.
Yeah,
because they're gonna sell out. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the hotel rooms are already sold out. So yeah, it's going to sell out.
With as much as I hear people talking about this con and how great the first one was, I have a feeling that this year is going to be even more amazing. So get your tickets early and get them fast. Dan, you know what else you should get fast?
Out of here?
That would be my ideal dream. But before that, you should get all of 5 Year Mission's albums in your grubby little hands, because we love physical media. So get yourself right now on out to 5yearmission.net. Order year 1, year 2, year 3, Spock's Brain, Trouble with Tribbles. Get those CDs shipped to your house, because we love the music of 5 Year Mission. They are every bit of music you hear on Trek Geeks. And I can guarantee, I feel pretty confident in stating this, Dan. You know me, I don't make guarantees lightly. I guarantee you start listening to 5YM, you will become a huge, huge fan. So everybody who's not Dan, get yourself on out to 5yearmission.net, get those CDs, and love this band.
Grubby little hands.
Your hands are, you should try washing those mitts every now and then.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know if grubby or little was the wrong adjective, but okay.
You've got tiny hands.
I don't have tiny hands.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Anyway. Well, I'm going to make you happy today, my friend. This is going to make you happy.
First time in almost 30 years, but go ahead.
I know. In honor of our dear friend Fark's recent birthday, and happy birthday, buddy, I'm going to forego a Farkism this week in his honor. You like that? I'm stunned.
I
thought you would.
Quite frankly, I didn't expect this. Yep. This is a birthday present for me or for him?
Yeah, well, I guess for both of you. But, Fark, you can thank me that your ears are not going to bleed with this week's episode, which I think they usually do. But hey, if they do start bleeding, just make sure you apply some Farkirachrome, okay? Because it's very important. It'll help seal up any possible infection. So I just want to throw that out there. Happy birthday, pal. Farkirachrome.
Get the out.
Yeah, I said it.
Just get out.
Wow. My goodness. Wow. Huh.
I don't.
Yeah.
So clearly for my birthday, I got screwed as
You're welcome.
which was this week.
Yes, it was. And happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
It's so, and I should say, it's been, the dates, everything's all mushed together with everything going on. I did wish you a happy birthday, but I hadn't done it on the show. And so I apologize for that. And happy birthday, buddy. Welcome to Club 54. It's good to have you here. Let's go disco dancing and have a little fun. You're the best.
Don't try to make up for what you just did. 5yearmission.net. Get those CDs. Of course, don't forget, you too can support Trek Geeks by subscribing to us on Patreon, where you can get some raw audio and some perks and some just all around good times.
Yeah, absolutely. We love our Patreonicals so much, and we're always so humbled by their support. So thank you to each and every one of them, and a very special thank you to our associate producers of Trek Geeks, and they are Vikram Bhatt, Chad Clark, Corey Clay, Brad DeMag, William Edward M. Jr., Brandon Everidge, Andy Fark, Kimberly Francis, Jonathan Hamilton, Ryan Jeffs, Sean Lynn, Rick Mason, Jamie McGregor, Ross McKinney, Aaron Mollenkoff, Sarah Ledoux, Helen Reed, Sarah Rutlinger, Tim Robertson, Desi Rogers, Greg Rozier, Eric Sakian, Adam Sanders, Tim Serdar, Heather Sohn, Blake Strike, Lisa Tomlinson, Ron Roble, Kaylia Zawacki, and the gracious and wonderful Collie Hutchinson.
Yeah, Dan, I have a question. Last time we dropped an episode, did you murder Aaron Mollenkoff's name?
I think I said Aaron. I jumped ahead to something and I said Aaron wrong, which is weird because you would think it would be the last name because it's got some interesting spelling to it. But yeah,
because he posted in Camp Kittimer and said, "I know I'm a little late listening to the live recording from Vegas, but Dan, it's Aaron."
I don't know what I said. I must have said Alan or something. I don't know. I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. You were talking about my hands, and I don't even remember what you said. So
they're tiny.
Sorry, Aaron, Mr. Aaron Mollenkoff, Aaron.
What was his name?
Alan.
And we also want to thank our Trek Geeks producers for their support. They are Mike Bovia, Steve Bovia, Chaz Bradshaw, Kyle Castillo, Peter Craig, Andy Davenport, Craig Ewing, Jackie and Chris Hackney, Brian Hackworth, Kimberly Hartman, David Hood, Lionel Marchand, Matt McGonigal, Jim McMahon, Darren Metcalf, Charlie Mulvey, Sean O'Halloran, Casey Pettit, Jamie Rogers, Casey Shafsky, Terry Shull, Jim Stoffel, Chris Trabuzio, Christina Werther, and the lovely and talented Jess Vashon. Dan, the senior producer of Trek Geeks, for now and all time, is Jim Chapman.
Absolutely, he is. Love that guy. Hope things are going well across the pond, buddy. You too can become a producer of Trek Geeks, and it is so easy to do. Head on over to patreon.com/Trek Geeks for all the details.
Sorry, I'm cracking up because my wife and dog were just dancing with each other in the hallway.
I was going like this to pull her closer.
Like, hurry up, I want to dance with you, Daddy.
It looked like dancing from where I was. It was cute.
Oh, okay.
Love you. You're on the show, by the way. Yeah. Next week.
Yeah, next week.
Or next episode, whenever the hell it is. So we have said we're going to do an episode about Barclay like 45 times. And next week, or next episode, I swear, we really do want to talk about this character.
Yes, we really do. Maybe 47 times would be a better amount of time.
Just read the copy.
Just because it's TNG. Yeah, seriously. No, I am going to make an executive decision here right now that nothing will get in the way of us talking about Reg Barclay next week. And, as we mentioned previously, in all seriousness, it's going to kick off a series of discussions in the coming months that deal with mental health issues in Star Trek. And who better to start with than our beloved Reg? So it all starts next time, right here on the Flagship.
That is next time. Barclay, Dan guaranteed it. So if it doesn't happen, we'll give you his email address and you can yell at him. Of course, for more great Star Trek discussion, we have so many great shows here at Trek Geeks that we want everyone to get a listen to all of them. We've got a brand new show coming very soon, Deflowered. which which is, you know, partly from the mind of Sarah from Rewind, which is going to be a great TOS rewatch show. Drawn to Trek is back, which we're very excited about. Big Sci-Fi Podcast is churning out episodes, and of course, so are our Sci-Fi Sisters, and lots of other great stuff happening here at Trek Geeks. So head on over to trekgeeks.com/listen to get all those shows in your ears.
Trek Geeks. No one talks Trek like we do.
That's true, and it's probably a good thing after thinking about this last 5 minutes. Yeah. And of course, for all the news on all the Star Trek too, please visit our great friends at treknews.net. For now, this has been episode number 307 of the Trek Geeks podcast. We do hope you all live long and prosper.
Mercurochrome.
No, it wasn't.
Coconut flavored mercurochrome.
What? You're not supposed to eat mercurochrome, Dan.
Oh.
Music for Trek Geeks is provided by 5 Year Mission. They're writing an original song for each episode of Star Trek. Hear more of their music at 5yearmission.net. Trek Geeks is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks podcast network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
What was that?
I don't know. Just a little bird squeak or something.
Were you just good? Were you just excited that I didn't go into NPR voice?
Oh my God. As soon as you said, okay, I'm going to hit record, I'm like, oh God, please don't. Oh God, please don't. Oh God. And you didn't. Thank you. I appreciate
What's wrong with the NPR voice, Dan?
That to me is my Cyrano Jones to you.
And how many years have you friggin' tortured me with Cyrano Jones?
I do it because the fans love it. I don't.
No one has ever written in and said, I love Cyrano Jones.
Oh, we might want to talk to a couple people.
Yeah, who?
Yeah.
Family members of yours don't count.
Miss Wacky, maybe. She loves it. Mrs., excuse me, not Miss.
Yeah, okay, one. You picked the one person associated with Tribbles.
You said name. You said
I said name. You said
named.
A couple. I said name them.
I only have time for one right now. I'm on a busy.
You're so full of shit.
All right, Patreons, you have a mission. Tell us all how much you love the Cyrano.
Oh, not just the Patreons. Let's just open it up to everybody.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, this isn't the Patreon.
Email Dan directly.
I don't.
No.
I don't
want this to be fair.
I want it to happen. I just don't know if the email servers will be able to take all of the incredible.
It's Google. Shut up.
Love it.
It's.
What are you laughing? What are you barking at?
You big jerk.
Her hair's all standing up.
Dan, our servers are Google. They'll be fine.
All right.
Email Dan directly. Okay. Tell him how much you love Cyrano Jones. If you get 100 responses from 100 different people that are verified, you can do it every week.
Oh, I told you I wouldn't do it anymore. I promised you that, so I can't.
No. I'm telling you,
No, I'm not. You can't go back on what you said. Sorry.
That's wonderful, Dan.
So, hey, I got something I wanted to share.
Yeah.
This is, and I'm not exactly sure what I want to do right now. Remember when we were in Vegas, I went over to the Hero Within booth and I ordered myself a Picard season 3 faux leather jacket.
Yes, I remember.
I'm like, this will be awesome for riding the bike. I'm really excited about it. It came in today, and when I tried it on, the large seemed a little bit snug, so I tried on a 2X because the sizes are a little wonky. It seemed to be okay at the time. It came in today. I've lost almost 30 pounds since Vegas. it don't fit. It's too big. So I got to figure out if I'm just going to ask him if I can switch it for a large or an XL instead of a 2XL.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's good, but I'm like, oh, I wanted to wear it this weekend, and I can't if I'm going to swap it out.
Well, there is that. I mean, if you put on deodorant for once, you might be able to get away with it.
Well, you do what you do.
Wow. I think I know where your 30 pounds went, by the way.
I
found it.
Come on now.
No, I'm pretty sure I found it. So, and that's fine. That is a nice jacket, by the way. I was amazed at the price point they had for those jackets because they were amazingly affordable compared to so many other things there.
That's why I decided to get it. I'm like, well, you know what? This is a great price for something that looks so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it. And it'll look even better when I put a Fansets Delta on it.
That's incredibly true.
That's the funny thing. I'm going to show my brother-in-law and I'm going to be like, what do you think of this jacket? I got it for riding the bike. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. He's going to be like, that looks awesome. I'm going to go, yeah, it's a Picard jacket. He's going to go, I hate it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they actually did think season 3 of Picard was the best season of television they've ever seen.
Well, then he should be fine with it.
I would hope so.
So, I have news, which many people don't know.
Oh.
You already do.
Let's hear it.
This just in from the Trek Geeks newsroom, Dan.
Now that's a voice I can get.
I have a job.
Yes!
I am no longer an unemployed member of the of humanity. I start on Monday.
That's fantastic.
At that point, it'll be close to 3.5 months off, and it's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's going to be, I'm sure it will be, but it's exciting at the same time, I'm sure.
If I ever get to retire someday, I'm going to get used to it very quickly. Because the thought of having to go back to work, granted, it's a job I'm excited for. It's a company I really like. But the thought of going back is like, oh, wow. Yeah, I guess I kind of have to do this, don't I?
Yeah, that's good. I'm very happy for you. Me, on the other hand, I almost walked out yesterday, so nothing's changed.
You're consistent.
It's just been a complete CF, and we'll leave it at that.
Charlie Foxtrot.
Charlie Foxtrot. Hey, pack the car and have it.
Smart
I saw that commercial the other day. Yeah, I saw it. I was laughing. Chris Evans.
Saugus packed it. It's a good thing my wife isn't down here because she'd be giving me this glare for trying a Massachusetts accent. She who has one required, having grown up just outside of Boston.
Yes.
You've seen the movie The Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy?
Yes. Long time ago.
There's that scene in the family dinner that I love to taunt her with. And I will just out of the blue go, are you not a knock? And she just cringes. Cringes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like The Departed is a fantastic movie, but Nicholson's Massachusetts accent is just not happening for me.
Same with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah. Everybody pretty much who's not originally from the area. It's pretty bad.
And even some of the people who are.
Yeah, I think even Martin Sheen, does he have an accent in that? Does he fake an accent in that? I can't remember.
I think he does. I don't remember that.
Before he falls off the building, which is just awesome.
I've dreamt of doing that to you in Southie many times.
I'm sure you have.
My wife, would die on this hill. She says Christian Bale does a better Massachusetts accent in The Fighter than Ben Affleck does in any movie.
I don't disagree with that, and I've never even seen The Fighter.
Oh, dude, you absolutely should. It's filmed on location in Lowell.
Wait a minute, is that the one about the Lowell boxer? I have seen that. I have seen that one. Yep. Okay.
Christian Bale's accent is flawless. Ben Affleck, who, by the way, is not from Boston. He was born in California, so let's just set that straight right now. He grew up in Cambridge and Newton, which are not Boston. So I just want to get that on the record. His Massachusetts accent is terrible. When I see those Dunkin' commercials right now, I want to put something through my television.
I actually like the one that his brother does better than any of the ones that he does.
I don't.
Trim your fingernails.
Okay.
You haven't
No,
seen
I
that
don't think
one?
I have.
Actually, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not an actual commercial. It was a fake commercial on Saturday Night Live once.
They must have been mocking Ben.
And it's you got to check it out. It's hysterical. So
I would love to hear one of those idiots try a Market Basket announcement.
Attention shoppers, right now we have on sale for you 77 cases of Poland Spring Water, $1.99. Thank you for shopping Market Basket.
What?
72 cases, $1.99.
Last. Oh man!
Oh my goodness! Wow!
I'm very excited for Con Season 24, and really not in a way I haven't been since we did Chicago and Vegas that same year before last. My brain is going a million miles an hour, just starting to think about both shows. The fact that we've got one in May and then one again in August is pretty awesome, just 3 months apart. Unfortunately, it means I'm going to have to fly back to see you 3 months apart.
Silver lining in every cloud.
This year, we're actually going to have to meet in Vegas.
Yeah. I'll have a nice, comfortable flight for change.
Well, that's only because you've lost 30 pounds. Other than that, you were just big fatty McGee over there.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that because I'm fat.
That's okay. No,
I'm shaming myself.
We're all what we are. That's okay. It's interesting. I would love, it's great that we're going to more than one again in 2024. I'm hoping that somehow Ticonderoga is placed in a weekend that actually works. So maybe we can get up there if you have the availability, because it's been far too long since we've been up there, and with the progress that they've made on the TNG sets, I just would love to get up there again.
Oh, I don't disagree one bit. I would love it, but it's usually like the weekend after STLV,
right after Vegas. Yeah. Yep. It's unfortunate.
When we went 4 years ago now.
Gosh, yeah. I think
we did STLV, and then I had a Patriots preseason game with my wife, right after we got back, and then we had to hit the road for Ticonderoga the next day, and we were gone all that weekend. So we had two cons in 2 weeks, and I had a Patriots game. I think I was home, for the grand total of 45 hours before we headed back out again.
Your wife is still wishing for another long weekend like that.
Yeah.
Week.
She's probably hoping for a whole month. Maybe I'll get lost.
Lost convention. Yeah.
They don't have those. You know why?
Don't
Lost sucks.
Don't you say it. I have been looking for a Grim convention for 2024. I'm seeing if I can find something, because we're watching it again.
I don't think.
Thanks, Adam Sanders.
Yeah, way to go, intern. Suggest all kinds of things for Trek profiles and Trek ranks, but I don't see him bringing the heat to Trek Geeks. It's about time he ponied up.
That's right, man.
He's gonna. The senior producer will probably wind up firing him. We're gonna schedule a meeting with Jude.
Oh,
and
I think that's a great idea. That guy will drop the hammer.
Jude can fire Adam.
That kid will drop the hammer. Absolutely, boom.
Or
bang.
Adam will be sacked, as they say in the UK.
That's true. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Which does not involve putting him in a burlap sack. I just want to make that clear, Dan. I know you're not that.
I was thinking one of those races that you see at the carnivals where you get those big sacks with the three black X's at the top of it and a little rope, that you tighten it with. He's hopping around.
When was the last time you were at a carnival? 1935?
Oh no, not actually. Carnival might not be the right word.
A fair?
A fair.
So probably 1947.
No, actually, there's the Cumberland Fair up in Maine. And when I lived in Maine, Sue loved to go to that one, so she would go, and oh my God, we'd go to it, and all I heard about is, let's go watch the horse pull. Let's go watch the horse.
Life is a little different in Maine. I know you Mainers love, traveling back in time to ancient days of years past. The rest of us really, in the other 49 states,
there are New Hampshire fairs, Pat.
There are, but they don't do burlap sack races.
Well, I didn't say it was there that I saw it last.
You did provide that implication.
I implied, didn't say it.
Then where was it?
I implied that you're a great guy, but
then where was it, counselor?
Oh gosh, probably in elementary school when we would have the obstacle courses.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that would have been 1939 for you.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it feels like.
You know, they haven't shipped flour like that in about 70 years.
You can find rice though at like the big stores like BJ's and Costco.
You ever wonder why they put flour in the worst container possible? Here, let's put it in this paper bag that's going to get all kinds of holes and cuts in it, and you can take it home. They can't put that in like a can?
It's like what our friend Dayton Ward said the other day on his social media page. The people who make Ziploc bags really need to get in touch with the cereal makers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never understood this.
Uh-huh. Don't understand it.
And that's because I'm not bright.
And we're not. And I'm right there with you. My light bulb is a good 25 watts max.
It's cute that you think it's brighter than a nightlight. You're working at about 3 watts.
3 watts. Hey, bye. I already just said I've had enough of this.
Okay. Speaking of which, are you ready to do this?
Let's do it, man.
Finally. God, just shut your mouth.
Oh my God. 13 minutes and 59 seconds of this.
Love you.
I know.
Yeah, thanks, Han Solo.
So, okay, before we start, we got to talk about that for a second.
Let's ratchet it up to 15. The fuck?
Yeah, I saw a clip the other day, and if it's a real clip, I'm surprised there was a big editing mistake in that scene of The Empire Strikes Back. I'll have to go back and see if it was a doctored YouTube video by going and watching the actual movie. When he is with that whole scene where they kiss and she says, "I love you," and he says, "I know," he's not wearing a jacket except for the one close up where he says, "I know." He's got his leather jacket on, and then he doesn't again. He doesn't, he does, then he doesn't when he gets lowered into the freeze machine. So I'll have to check that out.
Never paid attention.
See, real. Yeah. And if it is, that's kind of a big editing error, continuity problem.
Well, yeah, I put it on the people on set, not the editor.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too. Aria, be quiet.
Dan, be quiet. We're over 15 minutes. Shut your mouth.
Okay, done.
You want to mute for a second there, jerk? Oh, what am I doing? You got to do your pre-roll. Dan has taken off his headset and his pants. Dan, put your pants back on. Dan, what are you doing? No, don't. Dan, please put your clothes back on. Dan is now standing completely naked in front of his camera, and he's trying to count to 21. I am really sorry. I'm glad we don't video this podcast. I'm glad we don't do anything of that kind. But Dan has really just sort of flipped his lid. And hey, buddy, how are you?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what that was all about. I saw your mouth moving.